ironically enough, in terms of West Ham news, I thought this week was going to be a quiet one. It's been the first time for a little while where we haven't had a midweek game, and I just thought there wouldn't be an awful lot of news around. How wrong was I? I mean, to be honest with you, we've already got tomorrow's video sorted out with the sort of unofficial confirmation of Declan Rice's transfer position, which I will deal with tomorrow, by the way. Also tomorrow over on Patreon, we are interviewing the former Premier League scout. Our patrons are putting questions to the Premier League scout, so we're recording that tomorrow, which hopefully should be really good. It's a former Premier League and West Ham scout, by the way, so there should be some juicy stuff in that. Today's video, I'm really sorry to report, is the second video of the day, but it's a Diop. And as you will probably already know by now, if you didn't, you certainly do once you've read the title of this video, and that is that he's out for the rest of the season. I mean, how unlucky is that? Apparently the injury was sustained at the weekend against Burnley, but he played on through the pain. Thank goodness, good on him. So realistically, we had a couple of players in terms of centre-half certainly playing on through the pain. We know Dawson's got a broken nose. Dawson's nose got broken during the game against Brentford, wasn't it? But he played on, as did Zuma. Zuma got injured in that game, and he played on as well. So, I mean, they're really trying, the centre-backs, that's for sure. But we're down to the bare bones, as Harry Redknapp would say. And it's pretty dire stuff. Now, there's a few things that need to be discussed. What are we going to do positionally, and certainly the role that our youngsters could have played, will play, should have played, are probably not going to play, which would be my reading of the situation. And also, but what I do want to talk about is I don't really apportion any blame to anyone on this one. Had this have happened in the striker department, I would have said, it would have been my attitude, you reap what you sow. But as I tried to articulate in a video a few days ago, and that was before I knew that Diop was injured, you go into this season with Dawson, Zuma, Diop, Ogbonna as your first choice centre-backs, with Cresswell, who sometimes can play as a left-sided centre-back, with two youngsters in terms of Baptiste and Elise, as well as Declan Rice. That should be enough. But even forgetting that, 4 senior centre-backs and 2 junior centre-backs should be enough. The fact that we've pretty much got, we've got 3 of the 4 centre-backs out injured, and actually all 4 centre-backs injured. It's just Dawson is carrying on playing. I just think that's damn rotten luck, really, to be honest. And anyway, that's that. What are we going to do about it? Well, let's deal with the youngsters first. I think this is, and I'm going to exclude Ben Johnson from the youngsters category, because I do believe that he provides the key to what I suspect David Moyes is going to do. Now, Gio, if you haven't watched it, Gio's already uploaded a video, a more tactical video, and certainly where he discusses playing at 3 at the back. I think whether Moyes plays 2 or 3 at the back, then Ben Johnson becomes a massive part of it. Now, I don't know what he will do. I just suspect it's probably easier to find 2 central defenders than 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if Moyes did that. But I think Ben Johnson plays a part. Before we get to that, we've got Baptiste and we've got Elise. Now, Elise is a couple of years older than Baptiste. Baptiste is a teenager. Elise is in his early 20s. Elise's had some lower league experience as well. I also thought that when we played the last group game in the Europa League match, it was Elise, as I've said on a few occasions, that really impressed me out of all the players. And I stand by that. I think I'd have to go back and listen to the review, but I said he looked like a senior player. He looked like he was ready for the first team. I don't think he's going to get to play. And I don't mean this as any criticism of Moyes at all. Everything that Moyes has done is right. What I would say if I were Elise, or what I would think if I were Elise now, would be, if I don't get to play now, I probably don't have a future at West Ham. I'm probably never going to play at all. And I think it's sort of reasonable to assume that. I think the Baptiste situation, I don't want to lump them both in together, because Baptiste, I think he might be 18 now, but he was, I certainly think at the start of the season, he was 17. That's young. That's young for a centre-half. I think it would be too sensationalistic and too reactionary to say about Baptiste, well, that's it. If I can't get in now, then it's over for me at West Ham. I'm never going to get in at all because I think he's so young. He's still got his stint to go out on loan. They go out on loan, he plays well, he comes back, he's used as a substitute and gradually works his way into the team. He's not gone through that process yet, whereas Elise has already gone through that process. And I just look at it now and I think if I was him, in fact, never mind if I was him, I'm looking at it now and thinking, well, if you don't get in now, mate, you ain't getting in. Probably your future lies elsewhere. And I don't think he will get in now. And see, the thing is, there are very rarely ever a set of circumstances where the youngsters can get in because, in previous years we were fighting relegation. Now there's still much to play for, be it top 6 qualification throughout the Europa League or be it Champions League qualifications throughout the Europa League or top 6 qualification through the league. He's certainly got his work cut out, Moyes, with this. And if he does manage to do either of those things, bearing in mind the injury crisis, there's no other phrase for it that there's been, I think it would be miraculous if we do qualify for Europe. That's for sure. It really will be. And I'm not writing it off. Before I go any further forward, if you want any more West Ham news, you want all the latest on this injury news, you probably don't, by the way, then you can check it out by looking at the OneFootball app, which you can download by using that link below or that QR code right up there. You can download it to your mobile device. It's free when you download it. It'll ask you a couple of questions. Oi, who are you? Secondly, it will say which football team do you support and which tournaments are you interested in. So you might click West Ham, Premier League, Europa League, and what it does, it puts all the news into one place for you, gives you all the transfer gossip, all the injury news, all the fixtures that are going to come up, and pretty much any news that's relevant to your football club. That's the OneFootball app. Check it out. Use the link below. I know you've come from Hammers Chat. It's very much appreciated. Now, just looking at that situation as far as Elise is concerned, I just think it reminds me of the Longelo one. Longelo earlier on this season, he'd played well in Europe. Cresswell was out and Masuaku wasn't available. And if I remember rightly, either Ben Johnson was out or Ben Johnson was being used on the right because Soufal was out. Around there. Basically, Moyes was out of options at left back. And the kid had just played really, really well in Europe. What did Moyes do? He played Fredericks at left back. And I just think at that point, that this, because I said it on this channel, I thought that's probably all Longelo really needed to know, really. And I think this may well be the case for Elise. And I don't wish to put a downer on it. I just think that's how it is. What is David Moyes going to do? Well, I know Gio's gone very heavily into it in detail. I just think Ben Johnson provides the key to this. I don't think that Declan Rice moves back into defence. I say I don't know. I suspect Moyes won't do it. For the simple reason is, whilst I think we started off the season with good depth, in central defence, I don't think we did in central midfield. We're certainly not players he wants to use from a starting berth, certainly. So, I mean, Krau and Noble are just not options central midfield. I guess he could draft Fornals in to play alongside Souček and play either Ben Rama or Vlasic on the left and move Declan Rice to centre half. There are a number of things that can be done. I can't help but think that Ben Johnson is probably the way. Now, I've been critical of Ben Johnson's attacking, but I don't think there's an awful lot wrong with his defending. And I could see him on I was going to say the right side of a back three, but I'm not sure that would be the case. If he goes into back three, I think that happens. I think it's the natural thing. Then what would I'm not sure exactly what would happen on the left. You've still got to find 2 central defenders. Maybe he does play Dawson in the middle and Elise on the left. Maybe. However, I think what's more likely is he would play Dawson and he'd keep Dawson at right centre-back and he would play Ben Johnson at left centre-back. I mean, it's a hell of a new thing to learn, but we're not spoilt with choice. We don't have the number of options there. Apparently, Krau's played as centre-half before. I just don't think he's trusted by David Moyes. Now, I think Ben Johnson was exceptional against Olympique Lyonnais and not so good against Burnley. But there's one thing that's beyond doubt, and that is that David Moyes trusts this player. It just goes to show his value and his worth to West Ham in terms of a squad utility player who's really come of age this season. I wouldn't be surprised if he stays at West Ham for most of his career and ends up playing 300-400 games for West Ham, and wouldn't that be miraculous, by the way? we're going to need him far more than I ever thought we would. That's for sure. Bit worrying, slightly worrying times. I just would, I sort of hate it if our season is derailed because of this injury crisis. And how ironic it would be if West Ham's season and our pursuit of, I guess qualifying for Europe again, or indeed winning the trophy, falls down due to an injury crisis, but not the injury crisis that any of us predicted. The one area of the team, or maybe you'd say goalkeeper as well, but the one area of the team where we were sorted. That's where we had the numbers. People say we don't have enough strikers, obviously. Don't have enough central midfielders. Haven't got a left winger. We need a new left back. The one area that people weren't talking about, very few, when we had Zuma, Diop, Ogbonna, Dawson, was anybody saying, we need a fifth senior left back, centre back. If there were, I certainly don't remember seeing it. Anyway, bad news. No way of spinning it any other way. And then we've got Chelsea coming up. If by some miracle we can get something from that game, then you've got to hold your hands up and say whatever they're doing on that training ground, whatever tactics they've got, whatever they're doing in terms of the coaching with that squad to try and galvanise it, tactically work on a plan. And they do have a week. There's no midweek game. It will be an absolute miracle.